now we're gonna swing into Spider-Man: Homecoming. Yeah. But before we jump into that, of course, we have to talk about this long road. Of course, we're not gonna spend too much time talking about the long road because, of course,
we got to talk about. Anyway. Yeah, we had to talk about just the Spider-Man franchise as a movie franchise in particular.
We just have to because it will make sense into what makes
why and how this film ranks compared to the other films and whatnot. For me, Spider-Man, with the exception of Superman, Batman, was kind of the first good comic book movie, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The first Spider-Man. This is done by Sam Raimi.
Of course, back in 2002.
Back in 2002, starring Tobey Maguire. I didn't really care for X-Men all that much.
I liked X-Men.
Yeah, no, I remember.
This was like the polar opposite of it. It was
right.
Brighter, it didn't take itself too seriously. It was.
Yeah, no, I remember being. I remember being really underwhelmed by X-Men, the first one.
I love X2, by the way. I love X2.
No, don't forget not X2. X2 do an okay job, but X1, the first X-Men.
Right.
That was kind of I remember being really underwhelmed by it. It's unfortunate. Mm-hmm. And I don't really count Blade because Blade wasn't really considered a comic book for a lot of people anyway. People that didn't know it was a comic book movie.
Right.
But Blade, I suppose Blade 1 as well. But yeah.
I like Blade.
I like Blade. I like Blade too. Blade 1 is solid vampire business.
Of course.
But for me, the first Spider-Man just got it right.
Yes, it did.
They just got this. They got the action, the swinging, the style, the tone of this really silly comic book universe.
Of course, and a character that you genuinely care for. In the form of Peter Parker.
They made the arc work. I mean, they did Peter's arc almost identical to the classic Peter arc.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it work perfectly. It had a bunch of great side characters in this. Which is Randy Savage was in it.
Yeah.
This your boy from another Sam Raimi, alumni guy. What's his name again? Shit.
Oh gosh. Bruce Campbell is there. Bruce Campbell was there.
Great running.
Ted Raimi, which is Sam Raimi's brother. I believe it was either in the first or the third one. I think it was in the third one, but we'll get to the third one. He was there.
And then they have called J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, who's brilliant.
Of course,
truly brilliant. I mean, I don't know who they're gonna get.
Bill Nunn was there.
Bill Nunn was in that movie as well. Yeah.
And of course, Willem Dafoe as the evil Green Goblin.
And they make
Franco
it work.
As his son. Yeah.
And the one thing about the film that could have made it better, I knew that they couldn't do it because they had to change a bunch of the shooting script, was the Twin Towers. Right?
Yes. Because you saw that in the opening, the first trailer, with this guy being stuck on this gigantic web between the Twin Towers.
Yeah, it was a helicopter.
Oh, is that all right? Yes.
Yeah, it's a famous. Right. It was a big teaser, and a lot of people it was a teaser that got pulled, and a lot of people wondered it was a rumor, and for years you couldn't find it because it got pulled.
Right. I remember seeing it when it came out, and I was like, "Wow, we are getting a Spider-Man movie." Yes.
That's the thing. It blew a lot of people away. I don't remember ever seeing it in theaters. I had to see it after, but I remember
I saw it online actually. Yeah.
Right, I didn't see it right. I had to see it online years later. I saw it online for the first time, 2 years after.
Oh, okay.
So I had to look for that. But I remember not seeing it in theaters, but I remember a lot of friends telling me, Dread, you ever see that Spider-Man trailer? It's looking real hard and whatever.
Yeah.
Then 9/11 happened. And from what I understand, they had to scrap a lot of that, pull it. Almost anything related to the towers had to go. They had to change a lot of the shooting script from what I understand to the movie. Just it clearly could tell it was changed because of 9/11.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I remember it didn't have a big set piece. The movie didn't have a big set piece for you to enjoy.
No, unfortunately. But what I would say though, as you mentioned, 9/11, what really makes this movie stand out to me? What I think really makes it stand out so much and why it was so successful is that right after something as heartbreaking and so shocking as 9/11, he needed a reason to believe in heroes again, and then here's this bright, vibrant movie comes out, with this guy, this superhero in New York, you know what I mean? And it just represents so much.
And that's the thing. Not only Spider-Man a quintessential New York character, but he's a quintessential American character.
Yes.
Everything
even
about him
is colors, you know what I mean?
Yeah, everything about him is that he's a struggling working class type. You constantly had to worry about money and these kind of things. So his character is incredibly relatable. Say what I want about Tobey Maguire as an actor. And I think he's a pretty good actor. But
I thought he was great. He was great in this.
He's Peter Parker's character is generally relatable. Generally.
Yeah.
For me, and it is easily one of my favorite characters in Marvel. It's not my personal favorite character in Marvel. But
Well, he was always one of my favorites, even like because I grew up on the TV series,
TV show, right?
Shows,
TV show.
And then I read the comics, and I love the comics.
Right. I grew up on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Me too. That
was a classic show for me.
Yeah. Fox's Spider-Man series, I love that.
That is
show.
a series that is a series I also really like as well.
Especially when they brought in Venom. But we'll talk about Venom in a bit there too. But there's one last thing I want to say about the original Spider-Man that I really love though. Danny Elfman's score though. I thought that score was so fantastic. It added so much into just the idea of being this guy swinging from building to building. It really captured that vibe now. It really captured the fun and just the exhilarance of just being in the air and swinging and stuff. Even right down to a perfect example of this is the end scene, where he's swinging in that great shot, which I love. The second one did it much better as well. But and then when you hear that song, sounds so triumphant now. You just get goosebumps when you hear it.
Yeah, a lot of the CG don't really hold up all that well, but it's still solid business as a film.
And we got a great villain. I forgot in terms of Willem Dafoe's, who was so terrifying as Green Goblin.
Yeah, well, that was another big thing about that film too, is that they decided to go with a stupid kind of weird robot outfit instead of going with the original. Like they decided to go with
a suit with just bombs and the glider thing. Yeah,
and a lot of people was kind of pissed off with that. Because it was like when you see, like, if you see now what the behind the scenes should have looked like, it's like, why didn't go with that?
But because of Willem Dafoe, especially his voice though, he made it so creepier. But all right, so you're cutting 2 years later to Spider-Man 2, which still remains, in my opinion, one of the best, probably the best Spider-Man movie and one of my all-time favorite movies. Period.
Yeah, it's still to me one of the best comic book movies.
Yes.
To this day, I still really like this movie.
And now, the movie CG in that though is so it deserves the Oscar that it won. It still stands up to this day.
The one thing about that film is I remember seeing the trailer for it. And when that trailer came out with I think Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. But I remember seeing the trailer online before. That trailer was so well done. Because it's the trailer when you first get to see the scene with the car.
Yes, I love that scene.
Love that scene. That trailer was so badass. I remember showing my friend, I had a buddy back in the days. I think we went to see, this is one of my best memories of it, is when I went to see Lord of the Rings: Return of the King in Globe, Port of Spain. Now, Globe, Port of Spain, if you know the run, is that Mendes wilding out for any bullshit now.
Of course, especially with a show like Return of the King.
Right, exactly. So I remember what was awesome about this is that I remember when Globe has a curtain. I don't know if they still have the curtain. They had an actual curtain for the film itself.
Right, yeah.
So it had like a kind of translucent kind of curtain, and they open it. And so I remember when we come in, all of we sit down and take, and the curtain opened, and you hear men making a sort of noise about that. Like, whoa, boy. I was like, wait, that's for that? So I was like, all right. Then the Spider-Man trailer started. I was like, I saw it online. And then back then, most people didn't have didn't have internet now. So it's like I knew I see it a lot before everybody knew it. And I just bumped my buddy. I was like, dude, look at this. This shit is gonna be real fucking hard. And that is when they showed the car scene for the first time. Everybody was screaming at seeing that, Jordan. Because it was so clever. And it catch everybody off guard with the spider sense thing. And him just dodge the car, the tire barely grazes his face kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then they show Spider-Man moving about. It's like, holy shit, they get it right. Like, the first movie got it right, but this got it right. I don't know what it did. They had a camera moving about and it mixed with the CG so well.
The camera movement and the CG just stepped up
in that second one. I was like, they got it right, and that movie still holds up to this day. Spider-Man won't hold up all that much, but this movie holds up in my opinion.
And I think one of the real reasons for this is Alfred Molina, who's probably the best villain in the Spider-Man franchise thus far. As Dr. Octopus, he was so there was so much layers in there. Just I'm a bad guy because we need a bad guy. There was so much going on with him. And even the stuff with him, with Peter and Mary Jane and Aunt May and those little things. Like at first when I saw it, I was like, all right, this kind of stretching the story a little bit too long. But then with a few more viewings, it made much more sense. And now I could see it works perfectly.
Now, this movie doesn't. A lot of people from a plot standpoint, a lot of it doesn't hold up.
With the whole thing where he quit in being Spider-Man and you hear
no, there's a lot of things like when they're thinking about like how the plot just play itself out. Like, okay, so like Doc Ock in particular, like why he turned evil is because of the chip in the back. I was like, wait,
little
things like that, all of those little things, and then and then he decided to turn And then because the chip mashup is like, yeah, but you cannot have a better feel safe against that. And then the arms like, wait, all in focusing on the arms. And then another thing too is like he robbing a bank, which is something that bothered me since dead. Like why you robbing a bank? Seriously, you kind of steal the materials. Who you buying it from?
Oh yeah, I see.
You know?
I mean, it makes for a really good set piece. Don't get me
Right.
wrong, but
Yes, exactly. it's a silly comic book thing, but when you think about it, it's like, yeah, this kind of dumb. But no, it's a movie that totally worked for me. I'm a huge fan of this movie. Absolutely loved it.
Mhm.
But yeah, it totally worked. The train scene is like still a goddamn classic.
of course.
action
Oh my
sequence.
God, yes, that train
And
sequence.
They
was so
totally
incredibly
make it look at the end, especially that scene when he lose the mask and everybody know who he look like. But if you think about it statistically, like nobody know who he is. It's like, and then the part
exactly.
when the part, the one part that's funny to me is like when one of them looked and say he's just a kid, and like Tony Maguire, not so much.
Yeah, not so much. Yeah.
Kind of funny though, but it still work.
Yeah.
And then that whole sequence just work and it's played out, and it's just damn good filmmaking. Period.
Yeah,
Spider-Man 2 is just a goddamn classic for me.
Of course, a masterpiece in my opinion. With regards to superhero movies, and just action films in general.
Yeah, it is totally fun work.
Yeah, you gave us characters that you do genuinely care about, and that was really the strength of the Spider-Man movies in general.
Yeah.
And now we had to cut to 3 years later with Spider-Man 3.
Right.
Now,
So
here's the thing, right? Now, I'll
okay.
just talk quick, right? So, first red flag. Exclusive 5-minute scene for the opening of the film, where Peter and Mary Jane were on the web and they were like kissing and
Big
stuff
red
in the
flag.
dark, and you see the whole thing with the Venom and the Venom sneaking up and things like, and then it lead on to it's not just about Venom, we have Sandman and we have Green Goblin's son, and I was like,
no, Spider-Man 3 at the time. Spider-Man 3 at the time. I could count on one hand about 4 or 5 films that just had me actually angry because of how much they fuck it up. And Spider-Man
you walked out angry. Okay, I walked out like, well.
No, coming out of the film night, how much of a disappointment it was now.
Right.
I could say off the top of my head about 4 or 5 films that I have on a list that's like, how you just fuck this up? And I'll say, so this on the list, Spider-Man 3 is one. Star Trek Nemesis.
Yes.
Is another.
The one that nearly killed the
that
the
pretty much
franchise
nearly
itself.
killed it. Pretty much killed for a while. Batman v Superman.
Yes.
Yeah, and what's the other movie that's think off the top of my head that is like it is one of those movies that's kind of dumb in retrospect.
Not
but
Transformers, not a Transformers movie.
No, it's not one of the Transformers movie. It's something I can't remember. Probably Transformers 3, but it's something else. It'll come to me later.
Right.
But yeah, it's like about 4 or 5 films that is off the top of my head that's like, yeah, I can't believe you fucked this up. It was such an easy home run, and they just messed it up. Now, in retrospect, you learn what went down is Sony and Sam Raimi kind of, they kind of follow to each other, and Sam Raimi was kind of bitter. He just gave you a kind of bullshit movie, and he wanted Sandman all the time, and they said no, and they wanted to push Venom, and he didn't want Venom. Now, in retrospect, Venom is a character who doesn't work all the time. Again, he's one of those 90s badasses. He's Spider-Man,
like
but
if you
bigger.
if you see the series itself, it's like, we have Venom. It's like, wow, it's so awesome. But when you look at it now, it's like, well, yeah, just essentially Spider-Man, but just bigger.
Here's the thing. Venom as a one-off villain is excellent, right? But you can't do him more than once, right? As a one-off villain, totally works.
Right.
Because you had to get into the whole idea of him basically like he could be immune to the spider sense, and he had to come up with a bunch of reasons now. Like he just totally counters Spider-Man in almost every way, and then on top of that, he knew the secret. So like he get into Spider-Man corner. So I thought they would do that in the movie. The animated series did a good job with him, but this just was a mess. And then they decided to bring in Thomas Hayden Church as Sandman. Now Thomas Hayden Church is a great actor, but totally didn't fit as Sandman in my opinion. And then they had this guy, we call him Topher Grace, as Venom. I was like, nah, nothing. Everything was topsy-turvy. Didn't work.
I thought he was terrible as Venom. The whole setup for him becoming Venom was just so
it didn't
poor.
work at all.
So poor.
Yeah, it didn't work at all. It was, in my opinion, that movie was a total mess. It had good action set pieces and had a lot of decent stuff in it, but to me, it just fell flat as a film. And then the biggest sin of the film was having Sandman be the one kill Uncle Ben. And like, what the fuck? That was
like we gotta go back to this Uncle Ben business again.
It totally undermined Peter as a character. It totally undermined the premise of Peter, because Peter The whole point is he had to stop the guy who killed Uncle Ben. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
Right? And then, so the way how they make it and the way how they film it and the way how it cut together is like, wait, well, Peter, like from a tonal standpoint, it's like, well, if Peter did stop the fella, Uncle Ben would have still dead then. Like, that's how it come across.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be Peter's fault. It needs to be that guy killing Uncle Ben. That's the whole point. That have a clear causal mechanism of Peter's negligence and his selfishness causing the death of Uncle Ben.
Right.
They need to do that every goddamn time. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right? Every goddamn time.
Right.
And you have to set that up.
Yeah. Right. So my thing, what really disappointed me is that, well, apart from the wasted efforts with, well, I mean, I didn't care about Sandman anyway, right? So he was a throwaway villain anyway. But I was disappointed with Venom, the way how he was done. I hated that whole subplot where Peter became Venom and he was so emo and evil and stuff. And of course, that dance sequence is just so painfully bad. That was just what I said. But it's some sense, because it's like, well, if Peter were to be evil, that's how an evil Peter would play out. Like, that stuff I didn't mind. But I would have played more dark and more serious anyway. Yeah.
Even though it does make some sense. I'd have played dark.
They just had to make it so hammy, especially like with the Venom music, the like you had to rub it in your face to get okay, all right, whatever.
It's kind of like Ultron and being funny. Like, it makes sense him being funny because it's Tony. But I would have still played the character darker.
Agreed. I understand where you're coming from, yeah.
It's the same kind of logic. That's how it is. And I get what they do with that, but it was real stupid and didn't work.
Yeah. And another thing, one another main thing is just that it just felt like the same old scene. How many times do we need to see Mary Jane in trapped somewhere and it's like, oh, help me. But in this case, she in a taxi cab, suspended in the air because of Venom's webs. Like, come on. It undermined. To me, I hated what they did with Harry. So Harry turned good again, and they decided to kill him. Yeah, like, at the last minute, no.
That whole arc didn't work at all. Like, I would have played darker again. Like, if it was up to me, it'd be Venom Suit alone, no Sandman. I'd have Venom Suit Peter almost killing Harry, which it kind of did, but I'd have it much darker and have him almost die straight up, or probably just outright kill him. So you make it super dark now, like, right, because of the Venom Suit, he killed Harry, and he had to get this fucking suit off of him at ASAP. Like, because of that, right? They had to make it super dark in that way, and then I'd have Thomas Hayden Church play I forget Venom, was the actor name, was the character name? Eddie Brock, right? Eddie Brock, and I have him play Eddie Brock, and I'd have played the character a little different. No Topher Grace, sorry, he's a corny motherfucker. Get out of the movie.
Yes, he was.
And the movie just didn't work. I mean, you could give everybody and their mother give their whole Captain Hindsight Monday morning quarterback stuff about the film. It didn't work. It failed on a production level for me. It still wasn't the worst movie ever or anything like that. But just such a big goddamn disappointment. It could have been
so much better. You could see it on screen, man.
It was an easy home run now. That is my attitude now. It's an easy slam dunk. And it just fell apart. Whatever.
Yeah.
Then the franchise took a hiatus.
Yeah, so cut to 5 years later now and we get the Amazing Spider-Man. And just right off the bat, right? One thing that I just hate about these two movies here, the Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Right.
Yes, I understand from a business perspective. Spider-Man 3 was a critical failure. I imagine making money, but not as much as it could have made, right? We get that. But was there a need to just restart everything from the beginning and show us everything from start? No. Again, why?
Is my 2 cents kind of speculation on what went down. Now, this is the kind of general narrative that people put forward. Although I don't know if it's fully true, but it makes a lot of sense given who we're talking about, which is Sony. And Sony's a company that just totally reeks of desperation. Yes. From what we understand, I forget what the actual clause is, but basically you have to use it or lose it, right? Mm-hmm. So they had to do something. And so the whole thing reeked of desperation of saying, look, if we don't get it, who want to be that person in Sony that because they didn't do Spider-Man, they'll lose the Spider-Man franchise, especially the fact that the Marvel Cinematic Universe started, and it started really like build up steam because by then Avengers came out.
Yes, same year actually. Yeah.
So, but when I think this movie come out after Avengers.
I think so. Yes.
Right. So by then, when people started to get tracking the idea of wait, all right, Avengers come in, Avengers did well and did gangbusters. So it's like, well, if they give it, they have to kind of give it back to Marvel. That's what everybody is saying. And it's like, because when Avengers happened, everybody immediately was thinking, well, they had to bring Spider-Man in the MCU. Well, at the time, it didn't seem likely because, like, I thought Sony would have hold on with grim, with grim claw, and fight for this, with to keep the franchise. Now, from what I understand, they made it. It was a streak of desperation just to make sure, all right, once you make a movie, you can keep it for however long or whatever it is. And yeah, it was a wholly unnecessary movie. Now, I didn't hate the first one.
Neither me to be.
I didn't hate the first one all that
honest,
much.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it.
I
I
saw
thought
it.
it did
It was what it was.
and I'll
Andrew
admit,
Garfield was charming.
he was okay, yeah.
Oh gosh,
I'll
what's her
admit.
face? I can't remember. From La La Land, she was there
Yeah,
too.
Emma Stone.
Emma Stone, she was fine as well. I did not care for the lizard at all. I just find it
Right.
so underwhelming. We did get a great Stanley cameo out of it though,
Yes.
but still, yeah.
No, here's the problem.
Kinda
It had a sort of extra bullshit in it, right? So for
Oh
some
yes,
reason,
yes. Yeah, I'll mention it. Continue. Yeah.
yeah, for some reason they decided to put in Peter and the parents, Peter and the mother, Peter and mother and father is scientists and this big secret agent plot line and all kind of thing. Now again, when I saw that, I was like, all right, well, they're going to link it to the MCU then because, well, we know in the comics they were apparently SHIELD agents, right? Apparently. So I thought they was going to kind of make an attempt to link it or do something like that along those lines. Or I thought Sony would have been like really clever and say, all right, well, with this part one, we're going to just tell a story and then set up something real epic and then kill him off and then bring in Miles Morales or something to really like pull the fans away now
Right.
from Marvel. And that didn't happen. The first film came out. It wasn't bad, but a lot of it was kind of just fell flat. And I'll admit, if I got that 10 years prior, I would have probably enjoyed it. But then again, it had no Spider-Man then, so whatever. And then the sequel came out and it was just a complete mess.
Oh
Again, I didn't
my
hate this
God.
movie, but it was a kind of a clusterfuck.
Like you see how you say you would have walked out feeling angry about Spider-Man
Right.
3. That was me pretty much with the Amazing Spider-Man. Though not as much as all that, but
No, well, you see, because it's Sony, I knew what you're walking into bullshit.
yeah,
Sony,
right. I
Sony
understand
is
me.
just they don't try to make good authors. Mark Webb is a shitong. Sorry, I don't like he's a terrible director in my opinion.
500 Days of Summer, dude, that was good. That was good. Relatable
Translation.
to me, but
A broken clock is right 2 times a day, whatever.
all right.
But
Cool, yeah.
I think as a director, he just fucking suck. Man just don't know how to paste together a film. Now he claimed to complain about it, but it sounded like some dress trunk bullshit now, where even if you got everything you wanted, it would still be shit.
Mhm.
So he's still trying to make it out as well. The studio fucked him up. Well, it would probably be a little better, but still.
Nah, but you
all
just
the
signed off
ideas
on
were
that,
there.
though. Yeah, so
All the ideas-
don't be blaming Sony for all that. Come on.
Exactly. No,
Yeah.
and that's the whole thing. It just fell flat, and the movie still made money. But from what I understand, they lost a lot, and because of all of the marketing, and they did a ton
Of marketing, ridiculous
insane
amount.
of marketing. So it was like, and then they didn't make that back, so they take a L. Amy Pascal apparently come cap in hand, to Marvel and to say, okay, we need to get back Spider-Man, and we hear the big announcement, and Spider-Man came back to the quote-unquote MCU, and people was enjoying that. I was on the fence about that because I was like, all right, I really wanted to see them do Civil War and have Black Panther in the middle because it would have made the story better.
Yeah.
And that's what they ended up doing, which was clever
Mhm.
and really smart because you could tell that they already wrote that script without Spider-Man. But they
Yeah,
had to put
yeah.
Spider-Man in there somewhere.
And
because-
and they make it work. I was so surprised by
Totally
that.
make
Like unlike Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, where they
No,
had to
yeah,
throw
that-
in Wonder Woman and throw in Wonder Woman and Cyborg and Aquaman
Right,
and the
stupidness.
others just because we want to set up this new
I
universe.
know, but
they brought in Spider-Man and they make it work.
Yeah, but what Marvel did cleverly, very, very cleverly, is that they kind of prime you for it. Like, it's okay, Ant-Man didn't need to be in the movie, but the post-credit scene of Ant-Man was Captain America Civil War scene.
Yes.
So it's like, well, they done prime you for this anyway, so he had to
Exactly.
be.
So hate it or love it, the man is part of the MCU. Deal
Exactly.
with it. Whatever.
They make it work. And with this with Spider-Man, they made it work as well. They say, all right, they just give him a small scene, and then they retroactively decide to put in stuff to fill up the gaps of why Spider-Man is there, where he is, how they do it, how come, and they never, it's still I'm sure they're still writing how it is he get his powers, what happened to Uncle Ben exactly, because they had to change all of that, and they just make it work, and then they fill it in leading up to this film.
Yeah, but what I like though is that like I can't remember if they actually hinted it in the scene where where Peter is talking to Tony for the first time now.
Right.
About Uncle Ben's death and all that kind of stuff now. But I'm glad that like in that particular movie here and this one here, we don't have to go back to retell that same thing again. You know?
Right. And well, we're just gonna jump straight into this movie and how it works and leads in, how it paces into the MCU. I frankly thought with this movie, I kind of loved it.
Me too.
I thought they did such a good job with folding it into the MCU. They put in a lot of Ultimate Spider-Man stuff in it, right, and made that work. And then they just make sure and just give us a good, solid story with Peter.
Yeah.
And they did just such a good job with that. It's like, well, I just really enjoyed almost everything. It was quite funny. It wasn't too cringy or annoying with the material. Dialogue worked as usual with typical Marvel films, just solid business. And yeah, I just really, really enjoyed it. They covered all the nerd things and all the little jokes with Spider-Man that I really liked. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, what has happened with Spider-Man not amongst buildings?
Yes, exactly. What would he have to do? Would he have to run?
Yeah, he had to run.
Yeah, he had to run.
They made it run. They made it work. And they have him using vehicles and stuff like that. Clever. Made it work. Simple stuff like that. I'll say, okay, so let's get the bad out of the way first.
Yeah, but before we do all that, we have to let them know what the story is about. All right. Well, I'll do it. I'll just kind of run it through. So right. So after like the events of Avengers, with the attack and all that kind of stuff, we cut to like some years before the story here begins with Homecoming, and we introduced to Adrian Toomes, who is played by Michael Keaton quite brilliantly, I must say. And here he's under contract to help clean the city up. So all the rubble, all the alien tech and stuff that's still there on the ground, he and his team have to pretty much remove it, right? And then Tony Stark, well, basically representatives of him show up and say,
government,
and government and stuff, quote unquote, come and say, well, yeah, we don't need you anymore. You're gone. Essentially you're fired, right? So you're just like, all right, well, since all they don't need since you all don't need our help, fine. We just gonna take this tech that we have here that we kept for ourselves, that we were salvaging, and we're gonna be criminals. Basically, we're gonna use that for our ends. And I love that about.
I have no idea how much of a reference. I have no idea how much of a reference it is, but I remember there was a show, Damage Control, came out. I heard it sucked. And it was supposed to be part of the MCU, basically addressing the whole, well, what has happened if you clean up all the mess now?
Right.
But I don't know if it came out. I can't remember what happened with that because I don't remember seeing any episodes.
That would have been an interesting way to kind of get a series out, like say like a Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of thing.
Right, that was the idea. It was supposed to be another series, but I can't remember seeing it at all. I don't know if it got cancelled pretty quickly, if I remember correctly. Let me just check this. No.
Well, all right, so while you check out, let's continue the story, right? So meanwhile, we cut to 8 years later, and this is right after the events of Civil War, so Peter Parker is like really excited. He's glad that he got to play amongst the big boys, well, in particular Tony Stark, played once again by Robert Downey Jr. So Peter Parker, being the 15-year-old kid that he is, he can't wait for the next job now. He wants to be part of the Avengers initiative now, so it's like, well, give me a call, man. Give me a call. Right. Tony, what going on? And he usually gets embraced now. If not from him, from Tony's assistant Happy, played by Jon Favreau, right?
Yeah, Happy
Hogan. Director of the first two Iron Man movies, right? Yeah. So while that's going on, Peter Parker is dealing with essentially high school life, just being in high school, having to deal with exams, and having to prepare for exams and stuff whilst being this friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, he was mostly focusing on
those things.
You had to focus on a triathlon, a decathlon.
Decathlon,
yeah, one of those decathlon competitions in Washington D.C. Big for the school, because the school he's going to is this big tech school.
Yes.
Which I thought was great and clever.
Of course, really good. Of course, he has to keep the fact that he's Spider-Man a secret from his Aunt May, played once again by Marissa Tomei. And then, of course, he learns about, he runs into Vulture, Vulture, Adrian Toomes' new persona, basically, which, of course, as you would know, is just this guy in this big suit, big mechanical suit with these large wings, really threatening the way how he looks. And he's just doing all these, like, crimes and stuff, basically, and Spider-Man kind of runs afoul of that. And he also runs into, and I like this too, with Vulture's assistant, basically, Shocker.
Right.
And I like what they do with Shocker, where one character was playing him, and then all of a sudden, the duties were kind of, like, shifted to him. And how they do it was pretty clever as well. Yeah,
that's a clever thing in the comic, because in the comic there are two Shockers.
Oh,
so
okay.
I like what they did with that. I was like, oh shit, that's not two shockers. And it's like when they do what they did with that in the story, that was really, really funny and clever for me. I was like, oh yeah. And they basically reference almost every like big Spider-Man villain in this movie, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, a bunch of big Spider-Man villains in this movie. I was like, oh, he in this. Oh, okay, that's character. And when they hear the name, I was like, oh, that's not that person. And then they see a little visual element. So they reference Vulture, they reference Shocker, both of them. They reference Prowler, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know who Prowler is. Prowler is played by somebody who was supposed to be Spider-Man.
Right.
The boy from Atlanta, Donald Glover.
Yeah, Donald Glover.
Right?
Yeah.
They reference Tinkerer. Tinkerers in the series. I was like, cool.
He's the guy who was doing the repair stuff. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
or the guy who was the tech stuff. Yeah.
All right.
Well, the reference. So Shocker, Tinkerer. Basically, the Sinister Six. They basically reference.
Right. Yeah, I see where you get that. That's pretty clever. Yeah.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, but all the while, you know, Spider-Man is trying to do this thing. He's trying to be the hero. You know, essentially, he just wants to impress Tony Stark. You know, and you know, Tony's just doing this thing, being this billionaire playboy that he always is, and all that kind of stuff. And he's just kind of treating him like, basically he's like the father figure here, he's like the mentor here, but he kind of looks at Spider-Man as being irresponsible and just not fit enough or not capable enough of being an Avenger, you know. And it's just that kind of back and forth between the two that really makes up the just the emotional aspect of the film. Now, just him wanting to be a hero, wanting to be the best he can be, but at the same time he has all these things in life he has to deal with, you know, because he is a teenager, he is still a kid, you know. But how it is that you have all these powers, but you know, you still not being looked upon, you know, you're not being praised that really, you know. And there's all those things that essentially make this film quite interesting and quite different from all the other movies that came prior to this one here. But I'll just jump into just things that I really like though. Right. So Ricardo, your thoughts on the film? Right.
Yeah. Just to get the bad out of the way first. The bad. I'll say it didn't have some of the pacing for the action was a little off. Especially between from one set piece to the other. They had two big set pieces kind of almost in a row. So that felt a little strange for me, but it still worked because I get what the purpose of it was anyway. Mm-hmm. It had a few plot contrivances here or there. Just like, well, how does he, like, it have a little thing, you need to find a little MacGuffin, and he just found it. And like,
yes.
Oh, you know where it was. Yeah. All right, whatever. And then a couple other things like, well, how a certain character knew he was coming out of a door and like the character's waiting for him. It's like, how you knew he was waiting there. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Stuff like that. The CG was spotty at times. Couple of little, didn't really feel some of the CG at times. Especially that opening sequence with him as Spider-Man.
I'll actually agree with you there because there is like this really like this montage.
Right, it's great.
A particular song that I did not expect they would use when they played it. I thought it was like real cliche because you heard it before in like
a little
commercials, but I'll get to your commercial stuff in a bit. Right, but I felt like the CG there was kind of like
you know, a little too bouncy. That's the whole thing.
Like, but you could tell it's CG. That's what we trying to say.
It was a little spotty. Mm-hmm. But I could easily ignore. That's pretty much it. And then what they did with one of the characters, they did one thing with one of the characters which was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. That caught me off guard.
Oh, you mean with
I don't want to. We don't have to say it. I don't want to
talk about when that happens.
And then they did another thing with another character which I hated. I thought that was really goddamn stupid. It just kind of forced in, and it's like, oh, that's where you're going with that. It's a reveal at the end. At the end. You say, oh, that's what that character is. Okay.
I know what you mean, but I just felt that they could have done a little bit more with that. Like that whole scene itself could have had a little bit more oomph, a little bit more impact.
Right. But then, and both those characters were kind of a misdirection of the other, because it's what they do with it, because they lay some foundation and peppered in some foreshadowing.
Yes.
But the foreshadowing had you going.
Upcoming movie, perhaps. Yeah.
Well, no, just foreshadowing within the film. Okay. Because they kind of did a thing. I don't know if you want to have a little spoiler section about this, but whatever. But the point is, it did a nice little foreshadowing, but it was a misdirection, in my opinion. But I didn't notice it though. It's only after I saw it with someone else, and they were talking about it, and he was saying, he thought it was this, that, and it's not that. And I was like, oh, okay. I kind of get where he was coming from in terms of the logic.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about it in terms of, that's a spoiler. total spoiler. I don't want to say it is.
Right.
They did great world building of the school and living in the MCU. So the idea that Captain America doing little PSA video stuff.
Yeah, which were quite hilarious, by the way. I must say.
Hilarious. Oh, and the second post-credit scene is brilliant and hilarious.
Yes, it
absolutely
is.
hilarious.
It is.
Not no plot spoiler anything, but what they do with that is so goddamn funny. All I'll say is some grade A Marvel trolling.
Yeah. When I saw it though, the audience was clapping midway into that sequence. It's just something that he says, and I and like everybody else was like, yeah, we just started clapping. That was so
funny. No, but it was really well done though. I thought that was really goddamn funny and clever. The first post-credit scene was just straightforward, but I like what they did with that in terms of our character. That was a nice little way to wrap up the arc.
Yeah.
I thought I liked that. That was nice. Yeah, and then the world building overall, you get again they had, and then all the little side characters in the school were great. Was his friend named by
Gosh, I forget his name.
It's slipping my
kind
mind.
of fat
the fat fella. Yeah, he was great.
He was fun as well. He gave us some really genuinely great moments here.
Yeah, he was great. The teachers were great. Hannibal Buress was in this. He was goddamn funny.
That woman from
Orange New Black. She was on a little side. Like, all these little side characters. Teacher. The principal is the guy from Captain America, and I was like, oh shit, this is his grandson. It had to be, because I was thinking, wait, how he get recasted? Is he doing from Captain America, the first one?
No, well, you see how you see that, because I was looking, there's this one scene where
with the picture.
I was watching that picture like,
It's his grandfather.
It looked familiar though, but
it's his grandfather. I was like, wait, he wasn't in Captain America 1? I remember he was casted. I remember seeing the news of him being casted. I'm like, wait, why they recasting him to just do another character? And I was trying to think, why he casted to do another character? So I thought it was going to be like an Alfred Woodard kind of thing, where she in Luke Cage, but she in Luke Cage, but she was in Civil War as a different character.
In Civil War, yeah.
Right, and she was two totally different characters. And I thought he was going to do something like that. I'm like, no, it's the guy's grandson. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. Nice
little touch there.
Yeah.
Enjoy that. What else? Yeah, that's New York in general. You guys get sense of New York. Funny Stanley cameo.
Oh, yes.
That works. There's one scene that's so goddamn funny for me. That is, Iron Man. I crack up at that dread. When the guy was like, Iron Man! I was like, oh shit, that was really real shit.
Yes.
That was so funny to me. That
first time when he said, hey, Spider-Man! I thought that was funny, but when he did the Iron Man thing afterwards was
that was
brilliant.
So goddamn funny.
Yeah.
For me, the world building was excellent. They have a really great plot character moment in it, and it's just perfect set up Peter as a character, and this is what Peter has to be. They totally make it work. They have Prowler. They make a reference to Miles Morales, which is awesome. That is a big comic thing, because we know Prowler is Miles Morales' uncle. So all right, cool. They just build the world quite well. I just did such a good job with everything was just funny, genuinely entertaining and charming. And I really, really love this. It was just an excellent movie for me. You go ahead.
Yeah, well, I generally agree with you for the most part. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie as well. It's not perfect. Well, I'll tell you why in a bit, but I just had so much fun with this one. This, to me, is like the most fun I've ever had in a Spider-Man movie ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love the performance by Tom Holland. I thought that he brought that charm to the character. And yes, he does look like a kid. You know what I mean? I know he's like 20 years old or whatever, but he does fit that character of Peter Parker perfectly. Like this is like something I've always wanted to see. Like the kid version of Spider-Man. Not like I'm now leaving college. I'm going to graduate in this next scene, like what we got with Tobey Maguire in the first Spider-Man movie, you know what I mean? And then it was just, I'm trying to get a job and blah, 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 or like, I want to get married and all that other stuff. What else? I love that they actually focused on the high school. For once, we actually got to see, high school life through his eyes, basically.
Yeah.
The wide array of characters as well, whether is Flash, who, I was expecting him to be, like, he's a real douche, but a real smart way of...
That was actually a clever change on Flash, because I remember when hearing the casting, I was like, how are they going to play this? He's like totally opposite to the Flash Thompson character. We know Flash Thompson's supposed to be a big meathead jock, right?
Yes.
And they make it work. I thought it was short. It didn't do much with it. No. But it just made it work. He's just a douchebag, though. Yeah. And he's a rich douchebag, which makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a rich douche. So it's like, all right, cool.
Zendaya was there, and at first I was like, okay, is she going to be the love interest? And then Laura Harrier, who plays Liz, I never saw her before in anything.
Right.
You know, I realized like she's the love interest. But what I like here about the film, and this probably might turn off the die-hard fans of like the old Sam Raimi films. Yes, I said old. Is that they don't spend a lot of time on establishing some kind of relationship between the two. And I get
Right.
that. I get that. You know,
Well,
that Peter feels he need that, you know, he has to stay focused on his job, you know, him being Spider-Man and all that kind of stuff. There's this one great scene where
yes. You do something very clever
where,
with
where,
that.
where, where Liz is like kind of beckoning him to do something fun, you know, with her. But it's like, you know what? No, I have to stay focused on this mission here because it's my responsibility. You know, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah,
right?
they totally set that up so well.
Yeah,
in this.
I love that. But I felt that the way how they end that character arc with Liz was a bit of a letdown. Though it's kind of like, well, kind of convenient how it kind of ends. It's like, yeah, well, you know, this happened, so okay, bye. And that's it.
But no, I find out was just goddamn tragic how they do it. I was like, what? How they do this?
I mean, I get what he was trying to do, but at the same time, like,
Yeah,
I
I
expected
find
to
out
hit
real
me a little
hard.
bit more, though. A little bit more, just for me.
I don't know. Because again, we kind of delve into the spoiler territory, just even hinting at what it is. Because the way how it's done with such great misdirection.
Well, I actually got misdirected by it.
I thought it was really well done. I sure anybody, more likely anybody who claimed they would guess that, probably bullshitting. Probably bullshit.
But the reason, I agree. But the reasoning behind what happened, though, like I said,
great.
like that moment though when it happens, we won't see what it is. I really don't want to spoil it.
Yeah.
My jaw hit the floor. Like literally,
that's hard.
the whole cinema when I went to see it, it just got silent, and people was like, what? Like,
that was hard.
And just how they built from that moment though was
they do it hard.
probably like one of the best things ever in this show. But back to Zendaya. But at first I was like, okay, so she's gonna be in the background there, just offering these like kind of quips, just being kind of behind Peter's back. But it made for some genuine humor as well. I kind of liked the character. Kind of, it maybe with a few more viewings, I'll just be like,
kind of strange because I thought she was something more because she was just popping up in these places and then it's super convenient places. And I was like, wait, she didn't overhear them here and did that to the other. So I get the feeling that she kind of know because she was like right there when they was talking about something now. I'm like, okay, they had a scene in the party now. So it's like, all right, whatever. So I thought they would do more with her, but whatever.
Right. Yeah, me too. She
coming in sequels.
Yeah, right. That's all you'll see. Donald Glover, I thought he was great for the time that he was on screen.
Yeah.
I kind of was worried about what his role was going to be, like if he was going to be like this assistant to Peter Parker, and I felt like this character setup was kind of on the iffy side. Like, he's trying to make some kind of deal with the bad guys, but then it's like, he's trying to get rid of them. So it's like,
once I heard his name, once I heard his name, I knew who he was.
Okay, I didn't know who he was at the time. Yeah.
Okay, so when I saw the name, I was like, oh, okay, I know where they're going. And they're like, oh, that's why he was all right. Things was kind of falling together for me now. Okay, so he might show up in a sequel too.
It would be good too because just that those couple of moments with him and Tom Holland's character I thought were pretty funny as well. This is the way how Donald acts that I thought was pretty cool. Jon Favreau was really great as well. I like how harsh he was to Peter. It's like just like, I don't want to talk to you. I just seeing her right off the bat.
Right,
I do not have time for you. I'm sorry.
I like what they did. I like they did that because it ended up coming back to a major focus now.
Yes, yes.
And I thought that was great as well.
Yeah. But the two surprises for me actually were because yes, I see Tom Holland was great, right? Of course.
Yeah.
The two surprises for me, believe it or not, were Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. The way, because I know a lot of people were worried about how much screen time he's gonna get. And he's not there in the movie that much, but I like that he was there as a father figure, just to kind of check up on him. And to me, it shows like this growth from how he was in Iron Man 3 to what happened in Civil War, with him and his dad and all that kind of stuff. I like that kind of progression of his character. I mean, he's still a douche, he's still an a-hole at times, but still, you could tell the man have a heart. Really. He has a heart of gold, underneath the flash and flare and all that kind of stuff. And that was really great. I like how, Robert Downey, I mean, he could play it in his sleep basically, but the level that he brought in terms of being this kind of, I don't want to say nurturing because he's like barely there to help him out anyway, but just being concerned for him and trying to make sure that he doesn't get killed essentially. I thought that was pretty good. But also though Michael Keaton dread. Like I know going in, he was going to kill it. I mean, it's Michael Keaton. Come on. And it's just funny that he played Batman and Birdman, so now he's playing Vulture.
Batman, Birdman, Vulture.
Very nice, yes, haha. But what he did, what I really loved about the way how his character was portrayed is that no more of these kind of silly backstories of you falling into some kind of container of water with electric eels, and that's how suddenly you turn into a supervillain. It's like, you lost your job, I have this tech.
Yeah,
let me just do crime now, you know what I mean? And that's all I need.
That's the thing with I have no idea how close this is to any like origin of Vulture. I don't remember the original Vulture, because I don't know if it have. I have no idea what it did with Ultimate Vulture, because I never read that.
I never read Ultimate Spider-Man.
Right. Well, I don't know the Vulture character
like in parts of the first volume, but whatever. Yeah.
Right. I don't know the Ultimate Vulture character, but I know almost every other villain. I can't remember Ultimate Vulture, but I don't know if they changed it, so I have no idea what they changed. But I thought this as an origin and what they do with Vulture totally makes sense.
Yes.
For me, it totally worked. It was just such a great. And they did the whole, especially with Peter Parker. I remember the working class thing. They reference the working class thing really well.
It's like somebody you could relate to in a way. And it's like, this is what I need to do to survive now, to make money, and this is, and I love that. I love that with him and the two Shockers, where it's not about some stupid little backstory about how you get powers. It's just look, we want money. We have this tech. This is what we're gonna do. Boom. That's it.
And it makes sense in terms of like how you get the tech, because again with the, that's why I like how they fold it into the MCU now. How it is that these characters would have these powers or have this technology. Aliens, and we established that problem. So it work within the universe quite well now.
Exactly. But one thing though with Vulture, this is the last thing I'll say about him. You know, while I was going, I was fascinated by the character and the way how Michael Keaton plays him, where, you know, even when he does not have the suit on, he still looks menacing and fierce, right? But in a real cool, kind of detached kind of way. He wouldn't come in and shout in front of your face, but he would just kind of react to things in this kind of calm way, and it makes it even more threatening. But then is that twist that we talked about when it happens, and that's when it just set up that character. Like that's when the movie itself get like a full star for me, when that moment happens, and it just add an extra layer on this guy, and I was like, oh my god, no,
that make it work.
The seriousness of this guy. He's not just a criminal. No, there's something more serious about him. And that's all I was saying. Go ahead. But the story itself, the way how it was told, I liked it. The moments of downtime weren't boring to me. At least if they were energetic. There were lots of things going on, you know, but I do like the fact that you got a lot of characterization out of Peter Parker. You do understand where he's coming from. I mean, yes, it's fun to laugh at him at times when he makes mistakes and stuff, but I like that, you know, he is gradually learning and stuff. And one thing that I know some people might be turned off from, but I kind of understand in terms of the MCU, is the suit that he has. This kind of Iron Man-esque kind of suit.
Right. No, I get, because one of the big noticeable things about this one is that he doesn't seem to have a spider sense anymore.
Yeah, that was one thing that was a letdown for me, though, personally. Right.
This suit is more operate kind of like the spider sense in a sense now, because it's just doing all this amazing shit and doing so, and it could do this, that, the other, and well, it have a whole funny part, which I thought would have been something else, but then they still did it. Like, I thought, because I remember seeing the trailer, and I was like, oh, that's hinted to this thing, but I didn't expect to show up in the movie, but I thought there would just be a hint, and then they hinted at it, and then they showed it at the end of the film.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So I thought they did a good job with that, but it doesn't seem to have a spider sense at all. It's just Peter just really fast and thing. It doesn't seem to have that ESP kind of style to how the spider sense work.
But the thing is, it kind of makes him a little bit more vulnerable now, because now he can't sense when people are coming behind him when he does not have the suit on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. But I know for like the diehard heads though, that might be a turn off, seeing that now his suit is like all
well,
you know, like Iron Man and stuff, even right down to the Siri type voice, who is voiced by Jennifer Connelly of all people.
Right.
Okay.
Vision.
Paul Bettany's wife. Like, look at that. All the family, right? Yeah.
But I think too is another strange thing with it is that the whole like, again, because it's in China now, in the original Tobey Maguire films, he had natural webbing, which a lot of fans didn't like.
Yeah.
I included, right? But I kind of get why they decided to do it like that. Whatever.
They want to make him like genius now. Like, he knows how to fashion these things, I guess.
But that's the thing. In the original one, right? In the Tobey Maguire film, it was purely natural. It was a part of his power set. No? Instead of just declining.
Sorry. I was thinking about Andrew Garfield for a minute.
No, forget not Andrew Garfield, right? Ignore that. But in this one now, they decide to make the webbing thing similar. Simple, and then they bring back webbing. Well, they bring back webbing in Andrew Garfield, but in this now, and then they get rid of. They decide to get rid of, the Spider Sense thing. So I don't know if you'll get a total Spider-Man movie experience.
Yeah, I don't know. But one thing I really like though, and a lot of people reviewing this film will make reference to this. It had this John Hughes feel to it. It does feel like those 80s high school films. In particular, they make reference to one Ferris Bueller's Day Off. One thing though is that the running scene, they didn't have to show the TV showing the movie because, the millennials who probably don't even know about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which is a shame. Like you had to read and spell for them. There's like, hey, remember back in 1986? Before you were born, there's a movie called Ferris Bueller's Day Off and it's awesome. But it's the same taking a shortcut thing. It's the same scene. Exactly, but I think you did need to show that scene there. People would have picked up on it. Or at least the adults. But the tone of it, I thought really worked. It was really fun. It was really vibrant and thing. But at times, because of that, this is one of the major drawbacks for me, is that the intensity of certain action sequences or certain events didn't feel like there was a lot of stake to it now. So you could tell that somehow Spider-Man will work his way through it because it's Spider-Man. He's not gonna die because it's all fun and stuff like that. But it just made for certain moments where I wanted to feel like, oh my god, this guy could die or whatever, and I didn't feel it. Yeah, I thought the final action sequence could have been it was a little anticlimactic as well. And to me, I felt like the cutting, like the way how it was shot, or because
I didn't really feel all that. I couldn't
pick up most of what was going on because
it was weird.
It was dark.
Because it's because of the special effects they mixed with it, because the whole lighting, that whole where is the cloaking thing now?
Yeah. So the way how the scenes looked and they were
looking a little off. Yeah, that's true
for me. So it was a little hard for me to really pick up what was going on with the fight between Vulture and Spider-Man, but
I could have followed reasonably well, but I get where you're coming from.
But I mean, the tone is great. It really does feel like something out of like the comic books. But like I said, it's just because it's so light-hearted now compared to the others. It's not as intense, and like moments, for example, like when that ferry splits in half, you want to feel like if he slips up, that's it. But I didn't really feel that though, unfortunately.
That could have been more intense, but it was undercut by the humor in my opinion, because you really try. But the whole point is just to show him fucking up more than anything. That was really funny because that year Iron Man had me cracking up, but I didn't expect that shit at all.
Yes. And the subject of the whole fucking up thing, though, what I really love about this overall with this is the progression of Peter's character. It's not just about, like, yes, there are moments where he asks for help. It's set up in the very beginning. He wants to be part of the Avengers. He needs help because, of course, he's a kid, But there are moments where he has to rise to the occasion. He has to step up. He has to put in the work there, even whether it's an exam or whether it's trying to get out of a
they do a good job. They do a good job with it, with the whole, he's being presumptuous. He messed it up, but then him still being presumptuous because of the big reveal, because he didn't know
exactly
what would happen. It ended up turning back the story, and it's like, okay, because they did just good character. This character now desperate because he loses this and because of that, and then something that he didn't want to take the risk for, they end up doing anyway. When he ended with the whole final, what the final plot was about, and they just totally made it work at the end there. And I thought this was such a solid, smart script. It really well done.
It was.
Really
it
well
takes
done.
everything that we love about the character itself of Spider-Man. I like how it subverts the tropes, quote unquote, of like the old Spider-Man movies. So we don't need to see the Mary Jane stuff. We don't need to see the Aunt May stuff again. We don't need to see the Uncle Ben stuff. But they twist it in ways that make it kind of clever and funny at the same time.
They do the scene with the elevator was funny. That was clever. And that was
it was.
Little jab at the old Spider-Man, the old Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Exactly. So like I see, that's this whole subversion of the tropes, because just right off the bat, they just try to tell people this is not the 2002 Spider-Man or the 2012 Spider-Man. It's something different, but it's like the character that we've always wanted to see represented, and this is it. And to me, this is as perfect as it comes. I wouldn't say it's like the best. I wouldn't. I would say it's like the best Spider-Man movie out there.
No, for me, I put this one 2. For me, I put this one a little under 2.
Me too.
But-
I actually see this is the second best Spider-Man, and the
Right,
third
but
one
better than one,
being the
better
first
than one,
movie.
better than the Andrew Garfield film.
Yeah.
Definitely
well,
better than
the Andrew Garfields are way low, but for
Yeah.
me, Spider-Man 2 remains the best Spider-Man
Yeah, for
movie.
me as well. Yeah.
This one here I'll put second place, and then the first Spider-Man movie will be third, in my
Right.
opinion.
Yeah.
All right, so rating wise, I would give this a lighter, decent 4 to 5 stars. Yes, it is flawed and it's not perfect, but you will still have fun with it. It's no way that you can walk out of it and say that you didn't enjoy it in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
The performances were excellent. The music choices. Oh yes, I forgot to mention the music choices. There were a couple of them that were a little on the nose. It felt like, those are these songs that you hear in commercials and stuff.
Right.
But the way how they work at it, especially one that you see in the end credit, the title sequence, which I didn't expect to love, but I did because it was just so fun.
Yeah.
It worked for me. The music by Michael Giacchino, I thought was
Yeah.
excellent. It really
All right.
I know of course, he can't do what Danny Elfman did with the first two, with the original Spider-Man trilogy, but
Yeah.
he comes close to. I thought that the score
And
was so vibrant and excellent.
Yeah, they do the clever the opening sequence with the Marvel logo and the
Of
Spider-Man
course, and
music.
you
I
hear
love
the
that.
dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun. I love how
Classic
they did
Spider-Man
that.
theme
Yeah.
song, yeah,
and
classic.
how it led to the next scene was
Yeah,
was
great.
genius.
Yeah,
So
great.
genius. Because
But it's one of the it was one of the better cold opens since I think this was like the second cold open ever in all of Marvel MCU. Somebody could correct me on that. But the last one they did was the first cold open I think was Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
and I think they did for Ant-Man as well, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, okay,
think
I
so,
didn't
yeah.
know that. Yeah,
But-
so
yeah.
you see the sequence and then the Marvel logo after, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what
okay.
I think that's what they did for Ant-Man. Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
But because at first, like when I was watching the Marvel Studios, I was like, all right, song going good, but where we gonna get to the actual movie? I find it going a little long, and then the way
Right.
how it stops and it ends and it goes into the next scene, I was like, yes, this makes perfect
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had fun with this one. I want to see this in my top 10 list. And just thinking about
well,
it
we'll
so
see, yeah.
far,
It might make it.
Yeah, so far we had four four pretty decent superhero movies. That's
Yeah.
and we have two more to go. Yes, one of them is Justice League, and I
Yeah.
don't know how you get with that one, but I don't know. But yeah, this
Yeah.
this one was a great effort from the MCU. So by
Yeah,
all
that-
means,
so-
go check it out.
Yeah, as I say, I really had a ton of fun with this. It totally worked for me. The idea, the real job was they had to do two things which I thought Sony would have the balls to do, but they don't. Which is you had to fold it into the MCU in an intelligent way,
Yes.
and they did that, in my opinion, really well done. So all Spider-Man stuff makes sense from here on in. And then two, what I expected them to do is do stuff that we always wanted in terms of progression of Spider-Man, which is bringing in extra stuff from the comics.
Yeah.
And they, all these, so it feels like Ultimate Spider-Man, which I really like. And yeah, this I get this on IMAX. I really just enjoy this.
Which is funny because I saw it in IMAX and it's worth seeing in IMAX. It's
Yeah.
worth the money.
I really enjoyed this. Give it IMAX. Totally recommend it. I had a ton of fun with this. I really enjoyed this, and that's it. That's my reason for that.